In times when Mr. Harvey was too ill to record his broadcasts, he turned that task over to the creator and sole writer of the rest of the story, his son. Here's Paul Harvey Jr.
Now, the rest of the story. By 1917, Irving Berlin was an established songwriter and an international celebrity. That was also the year he was drafted into the United States Army as an infantry private. He was stationed at Camp Upton, Long Island, which was an embarkation point for troops leaving for Europe. But even as Irving reflected on the reality of war, his mind was still preoccupied with music. And after a few months in the service, he was presented with a creative outlet. He was commissioned to write the songs for an all-soldier stage production. It was to open at the Century Theater in New York. It was intended to be an upbeat show described as, quote, a musical mess cooked up by the boys of Camp Upton. The title, Yip Yip Yapank, referred to Camp Yapank. So, it's 1918. Irving is working hard on the production. He has everything but the closing number, and he realizes the finish has got to be strong. So, with a touch of heartstring gimmickry, Irving will have the soldiers march down the aisle, out of the theater, and presumably off to war. But the first song he sketches for them to sing is just too pretentious. A second sketch he entitles, We're on Our Way to France. Oh, that's the one. So, the show opens at the Century, runs for 32 performances, grosses $150,000, which will be used to build a new service center at Camp Upton. But wait a minute. Remember that song Irving had originally intended for the big finish, the one he rejected? Okay, we'll keep that in mind. It's 20 years later, 1938. The clouds of war are looming once again over Europe, and Irving Berlin is talking with a lady vocalist from Greenville, Virginia. The singer is saying, oh, this is probably going to be the last peacetime Armistice Day celebration for some while, and Irving respectfully agrees. And then she asks Irving if he would please write a song for her to sing on that occasion. Well, Irving says he'd be happy to, but as he begins to compose, he runs into difficulty. No matter what he writes, it sounds awful. Maybe his own emotions are interfering with his artistic objectivity. I mean, he just returned from Europe where he'd witnessed the worsening situation firsthand. Suddenly all the wartime memories are coming back. In any case, after several days of wasted labor, Irving gives up. But the November 10 Armistice Day radio broadcast is imminent, so what's he supposed to do now? And it was then that Irving Berlin remembered the song he'd written and rejected 2 decades previous, a prospective closing number for that all-soldier show. And he fumbled through his files, and he found it. Good or not, at least it was finished, so it would have to do. And you know what? The lady singer liked it, and she sang it over the air. And so successful did that long-neglected melody become that eventually it would rival the national anthem itself. The lady vocalist from Greenville, to whom Irving Berlin gave exclusive performing rights without remuneration. Well, of course, she was Kate Smith, because the song with which she would forever be identified, the cast-off tune buried in Irving Berlin's files for 20 years. That's right. God Bless America. Only now you know the rest of the story.
And now the rest of the story. You know, I can remember singing that song with pride even as a small child. I understood the meaning of it before I could even spell America. As Paul Jr. explained, Irving Berlin wrote God Bless America in 1918 for the review Yip Yip Yapank. But he thought it just didn't fit well. The original lyrics are somewhat different than those you and I know. The original version included the line, "Make her victorious on land and foam," as well as "Stand beside her and guide her to the right with the light from above." 20 years later, when Irving Berlin was searching for just the right song for Kate Smith to sing on Armistice Day, he dusted off his 1918 song, but there were issues. He changed the line, "Make her victorious on land and foam," to the oceans white with foam. In the line, "Stand beside her and guide her to the right with the light from above," Irving feared that these lyrics could be considered a call to the political right, and there was no room for politics in this patriotic song. He changed the line to "Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above." This is the version we all know and love. Irving also provided an introduction to the song which Kate Smith sometimes used, but it's rarely used today. She sang the song with the introduction in the 1943 film "This Is the Army." That introduction is, "While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer." That's a strong message. It's kind of sad that it was left out. As Paul Jr. explained, Irving Berlin gave Kate Smith exclusive rights to the song without remuneration, which means she did not have to pay him royalties for performing or recording the song. Anyone else who recorded the song had to pay him royalties. The royalties he received from the song went directly to the God Bless America Fund, which redistributed the royalties to the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of New York City. Irving Berlin's tune is often sung in many sports venues before games. For decades, the song was sung before the Philadelphia Flyers games. They considered the song a good luck charm. Kate Smith herself occasionally sang it live on the ice rink to the thunderously cheering crowds. Following Kate Smith's death in 1986, the Philadelphia Flyers erected a statue to Kate Smith in front of the Flyers sports arena. Since the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, the New York Yankees has played Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America at their ball games. It seems like Irving Berlin had written another perfect song. I say another perfect song because he wrote the best-selling song of all time, White Christmas. God Bless America had no controversy surrounding it until 2019. On April 21st of that year, the statue of Kate Smith was covered, then removed from its pedestal in front of the Flyers arena. Only the base remains. The Flyers and the Yankees stopped playing Kate Smith's God Bless America at games. What could have caused such an about-face? CNN did a story on it. They reported that racist lyrics appeared in 2 of Kate Smith's songs which were recorded in the 1930s. A film released by Paramount Pictures in 1933 called "Hello Everybody" shows Kate Smith dedicating a song to a lot of little colored children who are listening in an orphanage in New York. The song was called "Pickaninny's Heaven." The lyrics of the song were written by Sam Coslow, and the music was written by Arthur Johnston, one of the most popular Broadway teams in the 1930s and 40s. Before the Civil War, pickaninny was used to refer to the children of African slaves. After emancipation, pickaninny referred to the children of any African American. It is believed that the word derived from the Portuguese word pequenino, which means little. It is now considered a racial slur and is considered offensive. I'll leave a link to Kate Smith's "Pickaninny's Heaven" in the description so you can hear it for yourself. 2 years earlier, Kate Smith had a hit with another song called "That's Why Darkies Were Born." This song, written by Ray Henderson and Lou Brown, was recorded by both black and white artists. In the same year Kate Smith recorded the song, African-American singer Paul Robeson recorded it as well, and his version was also successful. At the time, many people viewed the song as satirical, pointing out the evil way that some people viewed slavery. Others of the era just found it offensive. Nearly 100 years later, we view the lyrics as overtly racist. Now let me recite a few lines for you. Someone had to pick the cotton, someone had to plant the corn. Someone had to slave and be able to sing. That's why darkies were born. Was Kate Smith a racist? Was she a product of the time? Kate Smith was never considered a racist during her lifetime. Remember, she died in 1986. Kate Smith's niece, Susie Andron, told reporters that she was appalled. Aunt Catherine was probably one of the kindest people I've ever met. She was certainly anything but a prejudiced person. She loved everybody. Kate Smith is often referred to as the First Lady of Radio. She was the most popular and highest paid female singer of the 1930s, and her popularity continued for decades. Kate Smith recorded the 2 songs I mentioned for Hollywood Films. At the time, Hollywood Films were under the studio system. Stars under a contract to a studio often had no say in which films they performed in, nor did they have any creative control over their character. They were told, "Stand here, say or sing this." Keep in mind that Kate Smith did not write these songs I mentioned earlier. Following the news story of the controversy, people searched for anything in addition to these 2 songs to say that Kate Smith was a racist, and they found that Kate performed in blackface in a 1929 traveling version of the 1927 Broadway show Hit the Deck. Blackface was popular in that era, and both white and black actors performed in blackface. African American actors of that era, such as Ernest Hogan, Burt Williams, George Walker, Bob Cole, and Billy Johnson, were known for performing in blackface. More recently, in 2006, Dave Chappelle appeared in blackface in a sketch called Black Pixie in an episode of Chappelle's Show on Comedy Central. 2 years later, Robert Downey Jr. appeared in blackface in Tropic Thunder. There are countless other examples. Now, does the use of blackface by either race mean that that actor or actress is racist? What about African American actors using whiteface? On October 26, 1982, President Ronald Reagan presented Kate Smith with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor. In his speech, Reagan said,
"The voice of Kate Smith is known and loved by millions of Americans, young and old. Those simple but deeply moving words, 'God bless America,' have taken on added meaning for all of us because of the way Kate Smith sang them. Thanks to her, they have become a cherished part of all our lives, an undying reminder of the beauty, the courage, and the heart of this great land of ours. In giving us a magnificent, selfless talent like Kate Smith, God has truly blessed America." So, Kate, on behalf of a grateful nation, it's my privilege to present to you the Presidential Medal of Freedom, an honor that you have earned many times over through your singing, charitable work, love of country, and by being an inspiration to all of us.
We can learn a lot from songs such as these, regardless of their original intent. What about songs that have been released more recently? How have future generations viewed them? I'm including links from the CNN article as well as links to the songs I mentioned above. Was Kate Smith a racist? Was she a product of her times? Should her statue have been removed? Should it be replaced? Well, those are questions for you and future generations to decide. But we must all love each other regardless of any category that we may be put into. We're all humans. We should all be appreciated. Now, I want to say a special thank you to Philo Close, Cindy S., Bite Me, and Snoopy Connolly. If you enjoy broadcasts such as this and you want to help this channel to improve, please consider joining. I'll leave a link to join in the description. I'm Brad Dison. Thanks for watching, and now you know the rest of the story.